As with most things, it's a really good idea to begin with the end in mind. As such, I've created a little outline that shows where I'm hoping to end up on the main landing page for our docs. The left navigation area should have a section for options that describes the various options you have when considering coding with kids, and that'll have a few documents under it. As a second main item, we'll have a section for guidelines that pertain to the documentation we're creating, like content that can be added and how the workflow is going to work. The main body of the page, I just want to be some high-level content that sets the tone for the rest of the site. Now that we know where we want to end up, let's dive in. As I mentioned in the intro for this module, I've already created a couple of documents to get us started. You can see the new folders I created for options and guidelines. And here I'll show you the JustLogic file I've created with some undecorated text, and the JustCode file is almost the same. Now I'll collapse the folder view to give ourselves a little bit more room, and we'll see about getting our table of contents structure started. The index.rst file that I'm on now is the same one that was created by the CLI that we used in the previous module, along with my Hello World text. To get our documents into the TOC tree, we need to come down under the TOC tree element and then go in 3 spaces so that it's underneath the colon of the caption and max depth items, and then just type in our document names. We had options, JustLogic, and options, JustCode. When we save that, we can look at the preview to see if our table of contents looks okay, and the new items don't in fact appear in the table of contents, unfortunately, and that's because we haven't done anything to create what's called sections in the documents. So let's go do that. To create a section in a document, we just put some punctuation underneath what you want to be defining as a heading. The punctuation used under the first heading will define the outermost level for your document. I've got the JustLogic structure basically already created, so I'll just replace this content with our heading structure. So what you can see here is underneath this main heading of JustLogic, I've got the plus sign repeated underneath it. Then I've got a section for key goals, which is a new section underneath JustLogic. And at the same level, I've got an options section, and that has 3 sub-items underneath it. I'll do the same thing for the JustCode document. Okay, the JustCode document has a main heading called JustCode. Then it's got a section for key goals and options, and the options section has 4 sub-items underneath that. I've saved both files as we've been editing, and now we'll go back to the index file and preview it to see if it looks any better. It does, but you can also see that our main outline is appearing in the body of the document. I don't want that in there, so I can add the hidden element to our table of contents. When I save that, the table of contents goes away. While I'm at it, I'm going to remove this indices and table item because I don't want that in there either. When I save that, I'm left with just our Hello World text, which we can replace with whatever content we want to in the clips ahead. So now things are starting to look pretty good. I'm going to close down this preview. I'm going to bring back the folder view because I want to copy in a couple of other files that I've already got prepared. We'll copy 2 files in for the guidelines, content and workflow, and we'll copy 2 other files in for the options, just hardware and code. If we look at those, there's hardware and code, looks just the same as our other files. Here's our just hardware, and here's our content and workflow files. Very much the same as our other contents. Having copied those files in, now I need to go back and update our table of contents. So I'll do that here. We'll add our options and just hardware item, and our options, hardware, and code. Then I'm actually going to change the contents up here to be options, and I'm going to copy this to a new TOC tree for our guidelines. And underneath that, we'll add guidelines content and guidelines workflow. This time I'll do a full build, so I'll open up my PowerShell terminal again, and we'll build that. and we'll load our index.html file. And we see our nice full table of contents on the left with options and guidelines. And we can navigate around to these things and expand the items as we move through. We can go back to the home page. Things are looking good. Now we're ready for some content creation on the pages themselves.